my name is Sydney Berryman.
And I'm Grace Markus.
And this is the Newsboy Strike of 1899, exposing the need for child labor rights and the government's responsibility. During the Spanish-American War in 1898, newspaper publishers William Randolph Hearst and Joseph Pulitzer capitalized on the American public's interest by raising the cost of a newsboy's bundle. Publishers heavily relied on Newsies, a group of young boys who sold newspapers to help distribute papers and spread their headlines.
Newsies fought for their rights to fair wages by stopping traffic on the Brooklyn Bridge to gain support for their cause. The public showed their support by boycotting both Hearst and Pulitzer, all throughout the Newsies' 14-day-long strike. After suffering major losses, the publishers met the Newsies' demands. This strike would ignite the fight for child labor reform and the government's responsibility for protecting working children. Extra, extra! 1,000 killed and wounded!
Ugh, my feet are so tired from walking around New York all day selling my papers.
And I haven't seen my mom in days because she works long hours down in the Welch factory out in Westfield.
All week, day and night, selling my papers. I haven't even been able to go to school.
And I have been soliciting in bars and taverns to try and sell more papers. I'm way too small to be in there. There's some scary-looking men who try to steal my day's earnings.
The only thing that's been lifting my spirits is the fact that this war we've gone in has boosted my sales.
I know. Everybody wants the news about the latest Spanish attack. Maybe if my sales keep at this rate, I'll be able to buy my mom something nice.
Golly gee, that's the guy who fought me for the corner spot on 24th Street and 6th Avenue. I gotta run. I'll catch you later.
The Spanish-American War boosted sales for both Newsies and ultimately the publishing companies. However, after the Treaty of Paris was signed to end the war, publishers lost a significant amount of money as they didn't have the sensational headlines they did before. They needed a way to recover their revenue. Mr. Pulitzer, Hearst headlines are winning over the citizens. He exaggerates the news, making people want to buy his papers. He's also increased his prices to increase his profits.
Interesting. Well, since he's our biggest competitor, I think we can make more money off this war too.
Yes, let's increase the cost of a newsboy's bundle and add yellow journalism. Let's exaggerate the headlines and embellish stories. The newspaper bundles rose from 50 cents to 60 cents. So the newsboys had to purchase the more expensive papers and keep their prices for individual papers the same. In addition, they could not sell back any unsold papers, which made it hard for them to make a profit. Extra, extra, read all about it. Can you believe the new prices we have to pay for our papers? Just when I thought things were getting better. We're making significantly more recently than in past years.
Yes, I know, it's unfair. My family depends on me to bring in money each week to provide some sort of financial stability.
Me too. It's going to be much harder to put food on the table now.
We'll have to sell way more papers just to make the same amount of money. I wish there was a way to have them hear requests.
I know. Let's get more hurts from them the most. Their pockets. Let's organize a strike and stop selling their papers until they listen to our demands.
Yeah, that'll show them. If we get all the Newsies on board, they will have no choice but to listen to us.
We've got rights, you know. After all, we're just kids and they should stop taking advantage of us and ensure we have fair working conditions.
On July 18, 1899, the Newsies began their strike. After overturning a newspaper distribution cart, many other boys encouraged boycotting and striking. Newspaper sales plummeted 35% and the people of New York noticed. Hey, where are all the Newsies? Usually the streets are filled with them. I was hoping to buy today's paper.
Did you not hear? They are on strike, refusing to sell papers because the cost of their bundle has increased.
I cannot believe that nonsense. Those poor boys should be enjoying their childhood and going to school, not protesting.
And I can't believe the greed of those publishing companies. We need to support the Newsies by not buying from those publishers anymore.
I agree. I believe we can make a difference helping these poor kids stand up to those rich, powerful men.
You know, I really hope our government steps in and takes some responsibility for these children.
Someone needs to protect their rights because these greedy companies sure aren't. As word spread about the newsboy strike, many joined to support from helping guide protests to boycotting to giving speeches like Senator Timothy Sullivan, who's a newsboy in his youth, to pressure publishers to take responsibility for the greed and ultimately come to the bargaining table with the Newsies. Assistant, my sales have been on the decline now for 2 weeks. What is going on?
That's because of the strike. The Newsies think they have a right to better pay, but that would hurt our profit margin. And their movement is gaining momentum with the support of the people. We need to consider lowering costs.
We are rich, powerful men. Why should we forfeit to young, naive children?
Well, that's the thing. The whole city is rooting for them.
Okay, now I see the problem. We might have to do something about these demonstrations. On July 25th, 1899, the Newsies and their supporters held a rally at City Hall Park where speeches were made to bring awareness to the movement.
Kid Blink, and as the leader of the Newsies, I would now like to introduce Mr. Brennan, a member of the News Zero Association, to the stage.
Hello. I'm ready to admit that you boys have already brought in shame to the faces of older publishers. You boys have accomplished more in just a couple days than those publishers have been able to do for years. I'm here for personal reasons, but I hope the news dealers will get together tomorrow where you all can come and listen to some good advice.
This is a time that tries the hearts of men. This is a time we must stick together like glue. But there's one thing I want to say before I go any further. We know what we want and we'll get it, even if we are blind. After 14 days of striking and no accountability being taken by the publishers, 5,000 newsies decided to really make a scene and marched down to the Brooklyn Bridge as their largest demonstration of retaliation against the publishers. Finally, on August 1st, 1899, Pulitzer and Hearst compromised with the newsies.
We can't live like this. Lower prices now. Publishers get rich while we starve.
Hey, haven't you heard the good news? Pulitzer and Hearst finally compromised with us. They agreed to buy back any unsold paper so we wouldn't have to take a loss.
That's great. Like you said, get them where it hurts. If they lose money, then they will listen.
They finally took some responsibility for their greedy actions. Just look at us, a bunch of poor nobodies standing up to the most powerful men and having them listen.
I've been feeling this is just the first step for us kids.
The newsboy strike revealed to the American public how big companies were taking advantage of poor children. The public support then shifted to protecting the rights of all working children. The success of the strike in New York inspired other newsies in Connecticut to also stage in that strike in 1909, advocating for their rights to be protected. These demonstrations, along with the establishment of the National Child Labor Organization, continued to fight for labor rights for children.
Florence, you have been making exceptional progress here at the National Child Labor Organization to provide both a safe working environment and the right to an education for all children.
Well, Jane, that newsboy strike 9 years ago really tugged at the heartstrings of New York City, seeing those poor boys being taken advantage of.
I got it. If the American public can see the working conditions of these children for themselves, they will pressure lawmakers to make changes.
I know just the person, Louis Hines. He is a school teacher here in New York and is becoming increasingly outraged at what he's hearing about child labor. We can hire him to go undercover in the coal mines and mills to photograph and interview the children.
I like your idea. Our mission should be to have the federal government carry out this responsibility. The NCLC's efforts helped the passing of the Keating-Owen Child Labor Act of 1916, which limited child working hours. The Newsies' dream to finally have fair laws regarding child labor was just being discussed in Congress. However, official federal protections would not be passed for another 20 years. In discussing federal regulations for child labor, I think children under 18 should not be able to work, as they are still considered children under the law.
I see. However, that can be very financially restricting in rural areas, where children are expected to contribute to their household income.
I see your point. Setting the minimum age at 16 can both protect younger children from being taken advantage of while still providing financial stability for certain families.
Agreed. Although the Keating-Owens Act was found unconstitutional, the government must be responsible to ensure the children are guaranteed overtime pay and minimum wage.
Hold on. Couldn't this make it more difficult for employers to hire workers?
No, we must ensure the children are guaranteed overtime pay and minimum wage. This legislation is so important to guarantee these rights.
In the name of the law to protect young children from being taken advantage of by establishing minimum wage, overtime pay, and limiting child working hours, I hereby pass the Fair Labor Standards Act.
Although the Keating-Owens Act was deemed unconstitutional due to the overstretch of federal powers, the Fair Labor Standards Act of 1938 finally provided federal protections for working children. The newsboy strike of 1899 was the largest demonstration of children advocating for their rights and started a larger movement for all child laborers. Using tactics from the newsboys who took photographs of their strike to show the magnitude of their movement, the NCLC's and Hines photographs pressured lawmakers to provide regulations.
Today, the federal government has a responsibility to protect the rights of working children. The newsboy strike of 1899 was significant as it shows how unity, especially from youth, can conquer even some of the most powerful companies. Thank you.